My ultimate distaste for, like, she's a special girl kind of mindset is how to start this. They take basically a blank slate like Bella Swan, and but they don't give you much of a reason of like why are these characters even interested in her. She's just a vehicle for the reader to, I guess, experience something. Because the more I look at it, it's like I just don't click with certain kinds of things. I mean, imagine it's just like how I don't click with Batman, but some of my friends do. They don't click with Superman, but I enjoy him. So I guess it's the same with books and certain things. Like, yeah, the she's a special girl. Just it feels vapid to me. Like, why is everybody? Why does everybody even care about that character beyond it being a kind of blank slate for the reader to settle into? Because those kinds of stories really, yeah, they don't really resonate with me. And I guess part of it is looking at some of the tropes and things that are getting all the attention, or the wheelhouses that are getting all the attention. It's just something that, yeah, honest to God, don't connect with it. That and God, not that she's a special girl is like Mary Sue, but it's no, it's almost like okay, if somebody's very plain and ordinary looking, then that means there must be something in their personality to make up for, just being average physically. Because most people, probably, I would say most people are average physically, if I had to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. But it's kind of like the inverse of a Mary Sue in a way, where it's like the Mary Sue is like a black hole everybody gravitates towards, cough cough Anita Blake, versus she's a special girl out of Bella, and it's like, it could just come down to personal taste, but I've never really found the gender of the main character to be a deal breaker for me, whether or not I'll read a book or follow a venture. I just want them to be likable. Most of the time, protagonists that have like that she's a special girl like setup, there's not nothing really there to me that grabs me and says like this is a likable protagonist I want to follow. Because it feels like most of the YA stuff nowadays is like, oh, hi, I'm the writer, and I'm going to put myself in this setting. So I think that's also an aspect of she's a special girl that I don't find appealing either. It feels more closer to writer insert fiction than anything else. Now, do I mind if they do it as a parody, like to point out something? Like, yeah, that's pretty funny. It's kind of like doing a little wink and a nod to like a fourth wall type thing. In fact, I'm debating whether or not I should eventually just have fun and do that with like a side bit in Uplift Protocol. We'll see. I mean, it just depends on whether or not it will derail the story or not. That's ultimately what I try to do when I'm thinking like, should I put this kind of reference in? Does it fit? Or am I just getting a little bit too fan servicey myself? Um, and also the rebel aspect. I see that more like not so much as like the Star Wars version of a rebel going up against the Empire, but more like a lot of YA specifically goes up like, oh, it's an evil capitalist government gone out of control and we gotta rebel and resist. Because whenever I see that in YA, it's like, oh great, more current year claptrap attached to YA stuff. It's why I really don't read that genre much. Because it's not actually there to engage younger readers to start picking up books. It's there to soapbox to people about like, oh, you gotta be more inclusive or diverse or whatever. Well, then be that way, but make the characters likable, not just on the window dressing kind of representation. I know I've said it before, but yeah, that's what I mean when I say, oh, look, it's a rebel character. It's just another character that's being a soapbox for whatever kind of tyrannical capitalist government run amok. Yeah, I still think Bioshock did that best, where it showcased, some Ayn Rand type stuff gone horribly wrong. Um, that's more, but then the thing is, though, even in some games like that, it takes more nuance, and I know I don't have enough nuanced chops in my writing just yet to pull something like that off. So that's the reason why I write to escape. Some people genuinely have that spark where they can add that to their books, but then again, those books aren't listed as escapist fiction. They're listed as political thrillers. Ayn Rand's books are not escapist fiction in the slightest. They're political manifesto thriller stuff, kind of like 1984 and Animal Farm and things like that. Uh, so yeah. Whenever I see the word rebel, my mind will automatically flash to oh, resist, hashtag resist. Again, that's the reason why with most books I don't want to think about that when I'm reading them. So the more the writer's able to help me escape from any current year buzzwords or accolades or any kind of setups like that, the more on board I am with them. No matter if they're, to the left of me or to the right of me. But it's harder to find that stuff nowadays because everybody wants to put in their political clout or claptrap or, I want my few couple seconds of Twitter bonus fame kind of thing. Yeah. And yes, I know some stories do better with the abandoned parents angle. It's just that, again, that's why I found that me writing my own story with all the things I want in it has really helped me just to focus on yes, this is what I want to see. So if I see other books doing something similar or overlapping a bit, then I'll gravitate towards that too. Again, this is all just my personal preferences, guys. Don't feel like you have to cater to my wheelhouse 100%. I'm doing that with Uplift Protocol. That is my wheelhouse 100% right there, within that series. But if you want to go with an orphan angle, if you want to have a Katniss rebelling against something, you can have that. I will be less likely to look at it initially, unless I have friends point out hey, it also does this and that, which also overlaps into preferred wheelhouses you want, or tropes or things like that. I can't really think of anything else to say for the moment. I just figured I'd try to extrapolate a little bit more when I think she's a special girl and things like that. And most of my beefs that I have is the fact that a lot of these tropes have been subverted to where they end up getting political underpinnings of the writer that will knock the reader out of the story. It's they'll have a girl power trip where it's not tongue-in-cheek what was it? What was that one cartoon? The spy cartoon with the three ladies or something? Or was it four? I'm going to have to look it up here. Let me give me a moment. I'm going to pause this and try to find it. Yep, found it. It was called Totally Spies. That had a bunch of cheesy girl power junk in it, but it didn't beat you over the head by saying oh, to uplift the girls, we're going to downgrade the guys. Kind of like what the original Powerpuff Girls show did too. It had a very cutesy girl power angle, but it didn't belittle the men, and it didn't belittle the other characters. Sometimes some characters were comedic relief, but I genuinely enjoyed a lot of the characters in that show and also in Totally Spies. It was just fun. I think that's another aspect of it. With some tropes, people have forgotten what fun is. They want to make everything so, air quote, realistic that it totally saps the fun out of something. But yes, I understand that there are some tropes that people keep coming back to, like a duck to water. Because I have tropes with that with myself that I do enjoy that happens with me, where I'm oh yes, I'd love to see that, like the abandoned derelicts, dead civilizations that are not quite dead, that sort of thing. I guess that's kind of set up, where you want to find more of the things you like. It's just a case of helping out readers to find books that aren't being catered to as much, because there are some wheelhouses that are ginormously fed in comparison to the ones I prefer. And that's ultimately what I'm trying to change with this stuff. And even when I kind of bitch, moan, and complain, I'm going to try my ultimate hardest to also provide alternatives. So I guess that's about it. Kind of like the follow up part 2 to more explanation with tropes. Have a good day, everybody.